Moving up to 47, where we have Cole Reinhardt, who was drafted as an overager and then went right to pro hockey due to the COVID pandemic. He was probably going to go back maybe for one more year of junior, but he turns pro. He's got speed, but it's what are you going to do to round out your game? Talk about a B game. That's what I think we got to work with next this season with Cole Reinhardt.
Yeah, I think Cole Reinhardt is one of those guys, like, he's a very meat and potatoes type player. Like, he's not going to wow you with a lot of skill, but he knows how to be in the right spot, the right time. He plays kind of a harder game than some of the other prospects. Good farm boy, as our classic story that we heard from, I'm blanking on his name now, but the Brandon Sun reporter.
Oh, Perry Bergson.
Yes, nice. Thank you for picking up there. He was telling us when Cole Reinhardt was drafted, he was out working on the farm, shoveling hay and and scooping manure, something I'm very familiar with. So I can relate to that. But he's just one.
Is that when you talk after I make a point?
Scooping manure?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. Depends who you ask. But I just think, like, look, we talked to David Bell about who's one player you want to step up, and he mentioned that this is a pivotal season for Cole Reinhardt in not just like Belleville aspect, but as far as his pro hockey career goes, because the entry-level contract's over. This was a one-year deal that was signed, and he's got to kind of find out, like, am I just a middle six AHL guy, or do I have parts of my game that are enticing for me to be able to play? I think there's a part of him that could be a nice fourth line player in the NHL if he can take that step this season.
I think that there's a possibility he can. Like, he's shown, 34 points isn't anything for us to turn our nose up at. As a guy who can consistently bring it on the penalty kill. You know what you're going to get there from him. And the year before, he had 30 points. And the year before, he had only 12. So he's going in the right direction. It's just, what's he going to do to separate? Because there's a lot of guys. As the bottom area of success for the Ottawa Senators continues to arise, that standard should be set higher and higher for the AHL as well. And that needs to elevate everybody's game. And for Cole Reinhardt, a guy who brings an A+ attribute with his speed, it's his time to show that he's going to take the next step. He's 22, 23 years old right now. It's time for him to go up. I'd like to see him clean up some of the penalties, 91 penalty minutes last year. I think that a lot of them, probably a couple more minors than you'd probably like along the way for that one. So if he can clean it up with that and not put his team shorthanded, and I'm not trying to pick on him, but his one NHL game, he was in the box for the game-winning goal against Nashville. And I know he felt awful about that. You could see it, but I think he deserves another shot. And again, there's a lot of guys now that are going to be competing for NHL minutes, and we know injuries happen, but I'm very nervously excited anticipating Cole Reinhardt's next season, because I could see him scoring 20 at the AHL level. That would be a great season. But what's he going to do to force David Bell to put him on the power play, to put him in a top 6 role? That's where he's going to have to control his own destiny here with what he's going to put out, not only in training camp, in preseason games. I'm sure he'll get a taste with Ottawa, and then into the start of the regular season. Belleville needs a strong start, and he could be one of those X factors maybe in the third line who's pushing them to do better.
Yeah, I actually kind of have a different train of thought, Ross. I think he should be focusing more on being an elite penalty killer and, playing a more physical game rather than scoring more goals and getting on the power play. Because let's face it, odds are he's not going to be a top 6 forward in the NHL. So you got to crack your way into the bottom 6 lineup. What's something that the Ottawa Senators have a lot of in their forward depth? Goal scoring, offensive skill, talent, playmakers, all those things. What's something they don't have a lot of? Solid penalty killers, grinders, physical players in the bottom 6 that can also contribute and show some speed in a pinch as well, right? So that's where I think Cole Reinhardt can elevate his game and show the Ottawa Senators, hey, you might want to take a look at me if you're looking for a different player than Parker Kelly, Boko, or Zach McEwen to play on that fourth line.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because, you want to be able to play the way you're going to play at the National Hockey League level. And for Cole Reinhardt, that's going to be as a defensive-minded forward. I will stand firm on the fact that if you're going to be in those roles, can't be putting your team shorthanded. And
Mhm.
that's something that he can work
Yep.
on for next season. Let's get those
Definitely.
Tims down to 50, and let's make a lot of them coincidental penalties where you're taking off a top 6 guy that you're matched up against on the other side off, and keep things at 5-on-5. Is it something in the water with the Brandon Wheat Kings? Both him and Ridley Gregg like to get in the mix quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, hey, they make them tough out there in Manitoba.